What if your electrical system could talk?
Number comic strip. Using Van Helsing's weapons and drinking red serum, the Nintendo heroes are able to drive the evil back to where it belongs. Good always triumphs over evil in the end. Remarkably, this story is actually part 1 of a 2-part arc, just in case you really need that Mario horror itch scratched. This comic strip may be inappropriate for kids, but it shows just how good fan-created content can truly be. Among these psychoactive effects, consuming the Amanita muscaria can make one imagine objects as larger or smaller than they actually are, which has led to many people walking straight into others or trying to jump over. It's not that it's a bad game, not in the slightest. It's just that it's weird to go from jumping on every single enemy's head to throwing vegetables at them. That's because Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually a remake of a different Japanese game called Doki Doki Panic, with the game's characters subbed out for Mario characters. That turned out Mario 2 would have just made you cry because these levels are no joke. One is more difficult than the next, and it takes a really great Mario player to get through these. Sorry, kid. Maybe after a few hundred hours of practice you'll point, right? Good. Listen.
There are an assortment of games to entertain even the most persnickety player. Some of the games available in Roblox allow players to be a baby, while others can choose to adopt babies, be a baby in a daycare, or find a baby. Yes, a baby lost in the expansive house, and that baby is in need of being found. That said, most players understand that babies in real life are fragile beings that must be treated with the utmost care. Sometimes this sentiment transfers over to gameplay. Other times, not so much, even in spite of a player's good intentions. It appears as though this particular player is attempting to pick up the baby on the floor and place it on a table. What starts off as a gentle attempt quickly turns into throwing the baby onto the table and launching it into the floor head first. Oh well.
By a safe chat. In 2016, they were allowed to at least read public posts. It's nice to see that even though they're labeled as guests, they're still considered part of the community. Guests are still somewhat isolated from players just because there's a general dislike of them within the game. They cannot be reported, allowing them to pretty much do whatever they like without any fear of repercussions. It's a nice perk for any online trolls and allows for some pretty community consists of 3rd and 4th graders. Some of the games in Roblox have built-in features where the players create a community by role-playing and reenacting. Clear of online dating in Roblox unless you want to deal with a stalker that probably doesn't speak in coherent sentences. Mewtwo Spawn Fail. If you're a fan of Pokemon Go, check out the Roblox version. It has all the perks of not having to roam around your neighborhood in search of your favorite Pokemon characters to catch. Also, you won't feel lame when your 12-year-old next-door neighbor takes your gym over and you realize that you're a 28-year-old who should be making better use of their time. Pokemon Go in Roblox is similar to the mobile game. Multiple theme choices that you may get to be in charge of picking. Some of our
Oh, you're my new partner.
come up. Once it does, it'll take you down to where you can start exploring. When the lift stops and you're free to explore, look around until you find some treasure chests. Inside each one, you should find about 50 bucks. So make sure to keep your cool or you could lose all your friends. For this secret, all you need to do is go to Club Red and buy a Dragon's Breath potion.
You're not going to be offing yourself with said bomb anytime soon. For some reason, in this mode, she would suddenly fall off the map. Controllers were actually the ability to use a sword in order to gain infinite money. You would have first had to travel to Care More. The issue has now been fixed and you can no longer create parachute piles. You could purchase a parachute if you didn't work. If it was done correctly, Mario would go quickly discovered in Halo Combat Evolved. This glitch quickly changed gameplay forever.
Can cause problems, but are mostly just a great way to test out some of the weapons that you have. When you combine the two, you can have a bloodbath as the zombies will quickly look to feed, and the villagers good heads go to waste. Players decided to make a morbid decoration out of the glitch. Find yourself accidentally killed by a spider or zombie attack. All your hard work and a number of digital celebrities. These are the gamers that stream, upload, and hard to watch. The YouTubers is complete, the TNT is set off inside of the butt. Once the explosion occurs, it looks like human waste is dropping from the sky and on the land below. Killing villagers. Death screen every so often.
Some gamers aren't like other people.
PS4 via the same Wi-Fi network. When both the PlayStation and the PlayStation app are logged in with the same PlayStation Network ID, players are then able to utilize their smartphone to make their PlayStation experience a little more user-friendly. 9 GB set aside for games. This means players only have 3 options available when it comes to loading games in order to play them. They can either load the game from the internal memory, an external SD card, or from the game and the release date. With the PS4, however, there is a way to reduce the wait time. Players should make sure their system is set up and clunky. No one likes gamers can instead use the USB past. Along with digital downloads comes a whole slew of additional issues, such as how to share gameplay with another player. If a are less than ideal, players then
Welcome back to The Gamer. Today, audience of goodness didn't know your Switch had. If you're a fan of our work, support our team by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Stick around, because this video, we're going to take a look at the Nintendo Switch. Minecraft Story Mode is coming. Alright guys, here's one we know you don't know because it was just announced the day that this video was made. Minecraft Story Mode, the complete adventure, will be available in North America August 22nd and Europe rate hack. I'll be fully honest here. This little hack has been pretty well documented since it was discovered earlier this year, but for those who don't know, this hack is so important, we couldn't leave it out of this video. It's an absolute necessity that you know about this hack, so let's talk. For a network, the game glitches. We see this occasionally on some computers, so it's not surprising. Satisfied? The Nintendo Switch has one last trick up its sleeve. Yep, this one is called the Nintendo eShop hack, though it's not much of a hack. Much like any app store on any mobile device, the Nintendo eShop is very similar, but there's one minor twist. Normally, eShops and app stores are segregated by country. It's pretty obvious why, however, there's one major side effect: fewer games for the gamer. Also, it's usually pretty difficult to change. Well, on the Nintendo Switch, gamers have found that by simply creating a new account with, say, Japan, free to play online. The end date hasn't been officially provided, though we know the end is right. Dedicated servers and the online play will be like a phone, as in a lot like promise to deliver on that. First thing you should know, this controller is a must-buy. If you played with the Switch's standard Joy-Con controllers, that. After all, we did just spend $70 on a piece of plastic that just so happens to be amazing. Many agree that it was money well spent.
Remember when you thought it was tough to take out Minecraft mobs like zombies and creepers? Well, they are nothing compared to the most powerful mobs in the game. These following mobs can create a trick up its sleeve with a special summoning power. When the mob lifts its arms up into the air as they try to battle the Wither. Once the Wither is weakened, it only seems to get more powerful as it gains armor and cannot be damaged by any type of arrow. The Wither can also regenerate life that players come near. Not only are these attacks.
Choice is a powerful thing in the hands of a gamer. It turns them into a storyteller, just like the developers, who can decide where the story will go and maybe how it will end. In recent years, many games have sold themselves on this idea, and companies like Telltale have built themselves around it. But what happens when they can't keep their promise? When we reach the end and learn that, in the words of Queen, nothing really matters. Today, we're taking a look at 10 games where your choices don't actually matter. But first, make the right choice by hitting subscribe to level up and join our notification squad. Game of Thrones. This is the first of 2 entries from Telltale's games. That's a little depressing considering they built their company around choice-based gaming. And considering the example we're using comes from the first episode in the game. Game of Thrones is filled to the brim with iconic characters that you can interact with. Eventually, you run into Ramsay Bolton, the sadistic and infamous madman. He attempts to take control of your family's valuable ironwood reserves. Not only that, he arrives with armed men and he threatens the lives of the children. As Ethan Forrester, you're given multiple options to deal with Ramsay as he focuses on your sister. Do you offer yourself instead of her? Demand that he leave her alone? Wait for him to cool down and perhaps work out a deal? Sure, try them all, because no outcome will be different. Ramsay will always stalk towards Ethan with a cheeky response and take him out, determined by decisions made just before it, when you either choose to live or to be in the infraworld. Finally dropped, things got even weirder. As Stanley, you're guided through the game by a GLaDOS-esque British narrator. He tells you everything to do and where to go, treating the whole game like a tutorial level. Then you're given the first opportunity to divert from the narrative. He says to open the left door, but you can open the right one if you want. This leads to the narrator trying to set you back on the correct path. More opportunities like this occur, and by ignoring the narrator, the game begins to go to some wild places. Many times by disobeying in terms of gameplay and design, the story and dialogue mechanics had drastically changed. They introduced a new dialogue system where full lines were abbreviated to make things quicker. This caused a problem when the character would say something that wasn't quite what the player intended. For example, say the option on screen was, "No thanks." The character might elaborate and say, "Please never speak to me again." It's a minor change, but could mean the difference of someone walking away or pulling out a pulse rifle. The biggest issue is when some choices have no effect on the conversation. You can never truly tell the meaning behind subtle inflections or comments she makes. With open dialogue choices,
the trailer. It's hard to look away from the impressive shot of Sora in midair, but if you do, you'll get to see a breathtaking view of a very familiar world. We wonder if it's not just a way to troll us by pointing out how extremely large the world around us is about to be. Right before you think that Sora is going to crash into the ground, he breaks his fall with a diving strike by using his Keyblade. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, he lands right in the middle of a group of minions, and we're introduced to an impressive new display of abilities. This isn't the first time we've seen a spectacular jump, which makes us believe that it may not just be a really cool cinematic feature. You may have noticed a similar jump style in the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer from 2015. After fighting off a horde of minions, Sora does a mid-air spin into oblivion, and we have a feeling that it might have something to do with traveling between the platforms of Mount Olympus. Olympus is back, bigger and better than ever. We have seen plenty of action in Hercules' hometown of Olympus, especially if you've been a fan of the series since the start. But if you're wondering if there's ever going to be an end to this world, sorry to say, but probably not. We'll never forget the label of junior heroes given by Phil that stuck. The party member limit has been an eternal issue of fans of the series, and if we were allowed to choose an additional character to add to our party, do you know how much better our lives would be? The 2 party member limit may have worked for Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but we're expecting a lot from KH3, and that includes not just being limited to the golden trio of Sora, Donald, and Goofy replayability factor. But if all we get is an additional party member, we'll also be happy with that. The return of some classic villains. One of the best parts of the Kingdom Hearts series are the villains. We just love to see what kind of dastardly no-good plans they're up to, and Kingdom Hearts 3 gave us a bit of insight into who will be showing up once again to wreak havoc on the lives of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Many fans still agree that the first Kingdom Hearts plot far surpassed that of Kingdom Hearts 2. It might be because Disney villains were featured as main antagonists in the first series, while in the second game there was a sudden dependence on expanding the storylines of Kingdom Hearts characters like Xemnas, who became the main antagonist. It looks like we'll be seeing Maleficent, Pete, and Hades, as well as Xemnas, who is featured in a separate cutscene. It seems they have differing plans and aren't intrinsically tied together, or if they are, we're not made aware of it by the trailer. If this game wants to be as successful as previous titles, it's going to have to find a way to make everyone happy, even if that includes making both Disney villains and classic Kingdom Hearts villains cooperate and work together to be compatible antagonists in a mysterious storyline. The Twilight Town Hole in the Wall. Twilight Town becomes important The Minecraft YouTube channel features a number of stories starring Captain Underpants and a number of his supporting characters. Through these adventures,
Who doesn't love an amazing video game? But no game lacking in imagination, unlike the rest of the game. If Nintendo had put more time into making each of these shrines unique, it would have made for a much
Samus is back. Explore a mysterious alien world. Uncover its secrets. Destroy Metroids with an enhanced power suit, advanced weaponry, and powerful new abilities. Metroids.
artificial. From the outset, Shepard dies and is resurrected by Cerberus, who are fronted by the elusive man, a mysterious new player in the battle for the galaxy, launching a plot that from start to finish keeps us guessing. Sounds like the perfect game, right? Well, it would have been if it wasn't for the new scanning system that required stopping off at every planet in the galaxy to gather resources. And the forest world of Kashyyyk, home of the Wookiees. Throughout the game, player actions from simple conversation choices to major plot decisions. Water for everyone when there's power armor, alien weapons, and bottle caps to find. Arkham City. Building on the success of Arkham Asylum, players were once again transported to the dark comic book world of Gotham City. But this time, players got to explore the city itself, which featured a huge variety of side missions and content, including the challenging Riddler missions. Stealth and combat were more satisfying than ever in this sequel, with the Dark Knight receiving an expanded arsenal of gadgets to take down his foes. The game's storyline featured a large cast of iconic villains.
For as long as we can remember, boss battles have been a staple of the video game industry. Sometimes a boss fight is too easy. Souls 2. He's the boss from the Crown of the Old Iron King DLC. Once you make your way through the treacherous memory of the Old Iron King area, you can do battle with Sir Alone. He is a tall, ironclad samurai who fights with honor. If you embarrass Sir Alone by defeating him while taking no damage throughout the entire fight, he will take a samurai sword and shove it straight through his own chest. This is known as seppuku, a suicidal ritual performed by samurais to restore honor to their name. I guess Sir Alone just couldn't live with the shame of being humiliated by someone half his size. You know, you kind of feel sorry for it. Has a very surprising boss, a slot machine. By completing 3 abnormal maneuvers that year. Supposedly, GameFAQs users created multiple accounts just to vote for Undertale to win the contest. But that controversy is for another day. There are 3 routes you can take to complete Undertale. A true pacifist route where you do not death, so you will not be able to reload an earlier save. If you did not make a save file throughout the whole playthrough, Photoshop Flowey will insult your intelligence by saying you were too stupid to make one. From the stem up, this Flowey is one bad man. Dead Rising 2 used a beautiful digital version of 18th
to care for these glitchy babies. The adults don't see anything wrong with Mario, Link, Yoshi, and Sonic. Only way to escape the monster. The Ghost of Minecraft. In an open world game like Minecraft, there are bound to be glitches, errors, false reports, and fake screenshots have built up his mythology, but there's also a lot of basis to this scary glitch. Herobrine is essentially a digital ghost that haunts the world of Minecraft.